And
Well, come on inside and get yourself something cool to drink.
there's more to talk about.
Hey, Bachi.
VOCHLOMBARDI. Hey. Hey, VOCHLOMBARDI. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with me here on the Voch Lombardi Live. Y'all be sure to download the Bleacher Report app. Tell a friend to download the Bleacher Report app. Tell your mom and them to download the Bleacher Report app. If you got two phones, go ahead and put it on all those devices so we can get y'all rocking. All right. We've been covering multiple positional units from the Dallas Cowboys, just kind of going over some things. OTAs have been happening. Mini camp was like 2 days. I don't know why we act like mini camp is such a big deal or it's so different from OTAs. I understand it's mandatory, but it is literally like 4 days. You know what I mean? It's already over. Mini camp is already done. There's some talking points that have come from it. But as far as the the cotton clothing practices go. Just the jersey, the shorts, I mean, the socks and all that. Like that's the majority of the fabric that is on when like not a whole bunch is happening in camp. You know what I'm saying? Like it's when you add the extra, like the hard plastic and whatever the hell the face mask made out of. Like when you add that, and the big plastic over your shoulders with the buckles on them. Like when you start rocking with them, then we got some football to talk about, right? That's going to be happening in July. I actually know what date it is. That's going to be happening in July. So if you're not going to be wearing pads, we're really running a bunch of glorified walkthroughs, which is cool. It's all right. Ain't no problems with that. I just, when you say, hey, Voch, can we get some update, some mini camp news, some OTA news? Hey, man, everybody ran around in a circle, boy. They ran around. They ran around in a circle. And you know what I'm saying? That's what happened. That's how they got down on this one, you know? So mini camp, they did much more of that. The same thing that they did in OTAs. They ran around the circle. But sometimes you could take away you could take some depth chart notes when you watching this thing. You could take some depth chart notes when you watching this thing. Voch, what you mean when you say depth chart notes? Well, depth chart notes. If we are looking at the tight end position, because that's what we're talking about today. If we take a look at the tight end position, and Jake Ferguson is tight end 1, and no questions asked, he's, the guy, and we roll him out there and he's good to go and everything and all that. If we roll into a drill and the ones are on the field, the starters, that CD, George Pickens now.
Did you hear what I said?
The offensive line configuration that you're looking for. Your first team runs out there. And instead of Jake Ferguson, Brevyn Spann Ford is the tight end that's with your starting offensive unit, that's with your ones at tight end. Well, the show raise some question marks, won't it? It'll show raise some question marks, won't it? Now, I'm not saying that it's something that we should be concerned about. Well, we Cowboy fans, we ain't worried about nothing. We just the fans, right? It ain't nothing that Jake Ferguson should be concerned about, of course. It ain't nothing that Jake Ferguson should be concerned about. But it does raise an eyebrow. Okay. Now, this is how tight end works. Some positions work like you set it and forget it. Some positions, you gain advantages by the personnel that you rotate in or out. Offensive line typically don't change. Quarterback don't change. Your linebackers, for the most part, corners, safeties don't change, right? Pass rusher, I want to see what skill I'm using by that particular player that'll dictate that particular time he's on the field. Same with running back. Same with receiver for the most part. Just it won't be CD and Pickens doing the rotating, right? But tight end also falls in that category. Okay? So if Jake is getting work and Brevyn Spann Ford is getting work, then we can logically, surmise that, okay, well, they're going to be doing first team stuff depending on what the situation is. None of y'all asking where the hell Luke at though. Got questions, second round picks are important. And we're still kind of fighting that bugaboo, man. We still fighting that second round bugaboo, man. We can get excited about Trevon Diggs and what he brings to us as a second round corner, but damn, we're looking for him. We trying to see how healthy he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can probably go back to DeMarcus Lawrence of a second round pick that we feel real good about. DeMarcus was after Sean Lee. So yeah, like you have so many questions about your second round guys. Like Marshawn Nealon, we got questions about, but he's a young guy. That's cool. Donovan Ezeraku, man, let's just knock on wood and hope he's cool, man, because in recent memory, second rounders just have been giving us the blues. But Sam Williams is a guy that we're wait on him to kind of prove himself and show what he has, right? But I'll tell you, Luke Schoonmaker as a second round pick, I'm still scratching my head on that one. I think we're going to be waiting on that Luke Schoonmaker joint for a long time. You know what I'm saying? I think we can go ahead and move on from that one. And look, when I say move on from that one, you ain't got to cut Luke Schoonmaker necessarily, because I do think you can use him. I think if Luke Schoonmaker never turns into the guy that you expect Luke Schoonmaker to be, you could at least try to get like a good blocking tight end out of him. If you can get a good blocking tight end out of Luke Schoonmaker, then he's worth holding on to. It's not Luke's fault that we drafted him second overall. Like, the Cowboys wanted Sam Laporta that year, and it would have been fire to get Sam Laporta that year. But boy, if you do not get Sam Laporta, the one thing that you don't do is overreach and go and get Luke damn Schoonmaker just because you ain't get Sam damn Laporta. That is not the way of the Black Panther, sir. You owe me an explanation. I just want to know. I want to be a fly on the wall. Like, what did that conversation go like? They showed us the Mozzie Smith conversation where it was, him and Bergeron, right? That, those guys or whatever. That was the debate that was going on. What was the conversation when Luke Schoonmaker was on the board? Overshown was a home run. He's a third round pick, and he's an injury guy. So, that sucks seeing that, seeing him not be able to save the class, so to speak. But I don't know. Maybe we're gonna save some money on that 2022 draft class. I don't know. 2023, draft class, whichever one it was. But Luke Schoonmaker, it seems that he's kind of got this job taken, because if there's any type of first team movement, is Jake Ferguson and is Brevyn Spann Ford. Now, Jake is a balance, can do all things type tight end. So when I see Jake Ferguson, and if you see Jake Ferguson on the field, Jake Ferguson's probably going to be doing all things. Like, it's not like, oh, he's out there to do this one thing, right? So whether you're in 11, whether you're in 12 personnel, that's one running back and two tight ends, it could be 13 personnel, you know what I'm saying? 23 person, whatever the personnel group you wanted to be, 22 personnel. Jake should be a tight end that's on the field at some point. Because Jake has the balance. Jake is a pretty decent enough blocker to leave him on the field in those blocking situations. Our lads, we've been big fans of our lads here. To talk about the depth charts there. If Jake Ferguson is just balanced enough to where you don't have to take him off the field here. But now let's enter Brevyn Spann Ford and continue this Luke Schoonmaker point. Luke Schoonmaker is a blocking tight end. That's kind of his job for real. Luke Schoonmaker was projected as a third, fourth round guy because he was kind of a blocking tight end. He was taken in the second round for whatever damn reason. But the idea of Luke Schoonmaker was to bring him in as a really good blocking tight end and to project him into a guy that can develop into a pass catcher. All right? It's the oldest trick in the book. It's something that happened with Dalton Schultz. It's something that happened with many tight ends before our guy Luke Schoonmaker got here. Like, take the blocking guy, teach him how to run downfield and catch a little bit, and now you have a complete tight end by way of development. So what happens with Luke Schoonmaker is he didn't run fast and he dropped everything. And the big issue was that, the thing that he did the best, he wasn't all the way necessarily great at. Like, he was a blocking guy. Like, he was categorized as a blocking guy. Like, his better thing that he did was being a blocking tight end. But boy, he ain't block all that good. Luke Schoonmaker just simply didn't block all that good for us to be like, okay, he's a blocking tight end. So he sat down a little bit. Brevyn Spann Ford came in as a rookie last year, undrafted guy, a $500,000 rookie, by the way. If you're a $500,000 rookie, you can damn near guarantee that you've made the team, because the Cowboys treat those $500,000 undrafted free agent guys like they're drafted rookies. So we'll talk about Elijah Clark and him being one of those guys, later on. But Brevyn Spann Ford was one of those guys. So you could just assume that Brevyn Spann Ford will be doing something important, something impactful here. So him as a rookie coming onto the field doing just as much as a year two Schoonmaker, it was troublesome because Schoonmaker just couldn't take his job. And it ain't like Brevyn Spann Ford was good. He was bad. Luke was just worse. I mean, we gave them boys every opportunity on the table to do a little something. Peyton Hendershot got traded away. Jake Ferguson got hurt. Boy, Luke Schoonmaker, it's your time, and he just didn't do it. Eventually, what happened over time is Brevyn Spann Ford kept getting a little better, and he started matching Luke Schoonmaker's energy in terms of like just kind of meeting where he's at. That's not a great thing for the team, but it is a good thing for Brevyn Spann Ford, because if two players are close and they're young relatively, you kind of just go with the younger guy. Brevyn Spann Ford, in which him and Luke Schoonmaker are very much older characters. There's more time on the Brevyn Spann Ford contract than it is the Luke Schoonmaker contract. The Luke Schoonmaker contract look a little weird because, I mean, that's a second round pick contract. That thing gonna make you throw up in your mouth. Brevyn Spann Ford got 2 guaranteed years, and you can do the little tender that you put on, the restricted free agent tender, and you can hold on to him for a little bit. And if another team don't match your offer, in which he's Brevyn Spann Ford, it's not like CeeDee Lamb is getting offers from another team. You got to match their offers. If anything, nobody may not offer Brevyn Spann Ford anything, or they may offer him a little cheap deal, and all you got to do is match that. And now you got Brevyn Spann Ford essentially for a 4-year contract with it, which is super, super cheap compared to the 4-year second round pick contract. There's no reason that you wouldn't value Brevyn Spann Ford over Luke Schoonmaker, but boy, they both had an opportunity. Luke and Brevyn Spann Ford both had an opportunity. They didn't do very much with it, and now we're like here in 2025. Okay. Hey man, I think Brevyn Spann Ford might have done something.
Did you hear what I said?
I think Brevyn Spann Ford has earned the trust of his coaches, his teammates, and his constituents. And I think Luke Schoonmaker's kind of stuck in neutral. I think Brevyn Spann Ford has earned the trust, and I think Luke Schoonmaker is stuck in neutral. Why I say that? Well, Brevyn Spann Ford is a guy that, just like Luke Schoonmaker, is a blocking tight end. But if you develop his pass catching, then we'll see where that goes, right? Just develop him as a downfield receiver, and we'll see how that goes. Here's the difference between Luke Schoonmaker and Brevyn Spann Ford. Brevyn Spann Ford is 270 pounds. So with Brevyn Spann Ford being 270 pounds, he's in better position to improve to be a better blocker than you, a better in-line type guy than you. When I was watching film on Brevyn Spann Ford in Minnesota, I would often look at him as like an extra offensive line guy that you would throw out there, but not like how the Cowboys use Jason Peters as like an extra offensive lineman. Jason Peters went out there to go block people. That was just a heavy package. He was another dude. Brevyn Spann Ford really is a tight end of 270 pounds that's big enough to be an extra offensive lineman for you, but he still runs out and catch routes. If you look at his Minnesota film, in which I've done it on Bleacher Report at some point, they don't have to tap me on the shoulder to bring that one back. But Brevyn Spann Ford actually does have a ridiculous catch radius. I think he has some decent hands. His last year in college, he did have some drops, but that's not what the majority of his college career was. But ultimately, Brevyn Spann Ford is 270 pounds. And if you want to ask, well, Voch, 270 pounds, that works in the pass blocking department or the run blocking department. How does that work in the pass catching department? Well, if you Brevyn Spann Ford and you 270 pounds and you going against cornerbacks that may be 190 to 215, good luck tackling that dude. Ladies and gentlemen, we just talking. Good luck tackling that dude. So now if I had to make an educated guess, I think the Cowboys are working Brevyn Spann Ford into the conversation to try to normalize Brevyn Spann Ford to being on the field. Luke Schoonmaker can make some catches here or there. It's up to him to go out there and compete and show us what he got when it comes to being an Oxnard there. But at the end of the day, Brevyn Spann Ford seems to be getting most of the looks. So if there's a tight end tandem that it seems that we're going to be leaning on, is looking like Jake Ferguson and Brevyn Spann Ford. Even if it's tight end one by committee, we know Jake Ferguson is great, but there are still some things that Brevyn Spann Ford can give you from an advantage standpoint. Must I re-mention the fact that he's 275 pounds? Like I think that's a thing that we can always go back to. As for the rest of tight end and how tight ends work, we mentioned today, tight end, or we mentioned earlier in this piece here that tight end is specifically a position amongst others that is built upon this rotation and is not really a set it and forget it type of thing. Depending on the skill of that player is depending on what they do for you. Okay. So with that particular type of position group, you want to limit redundancies, right? Let's take running back, for example. You want to build this thing like a basketball team, right? You want a big guy, you want a slashy guy, you want like a balanced dude, you may want a pass catcher, you may want a fullback. Those are 4 different types of dudes. It doesn't make sense to have 4 Deuce Vaughns in your running back room, right? That is a huge redundancy. So what you want to do is you want to switch it up like that. So now it's not about who's best, but now it's about what skill set you can bring to the party. Special teams is going to be interesting too, but we ain't got to talk about that right this second. But Brevyn Spann Ford, if he has won the tight end 2 battle, and like I said, nothing's officially concrete until we get to Oxnard. I'll be covering that at some point. But if Brevyn Spann Ford is going to be tight end 2 guy, if he's won that job, then he's going to be representing the blocking tight end delegation. Jake Ferguson is going to be the balance guy. If you're Luke Schoonmaker, the problem is that you're a blocking tight end delegation guy. So now you kind of fit in with Brevyn Spann Ford. That may not, help you in the diversity department or whatever. You want to know somebody else that can make the tight end job pretty easily because they're different from the other tight ends is Hunter Lipke. Hunter Lipke, I don't know if the Cowboys are going to use fullback very much, but if you look at the running back room, the Cowboys don't have a fullback like Hunter Lipke because he'll be the only one. But if you want to get creative and find a way to call Hunter Lipke some type of tight end utilized player, utility Kyle Juszczyk type player that also plays some tight end for you, then Hunter Lipke is just different enough from the rest of the room that he's not a redundancy, right? Now it's the last tight end group that kind of throws a monkey wrench in a lot of this stuff. And it's the vertical down the field guy. This Peyton Hendershot tier to where you're the vertical catcher. You know what I mean? You may not be the best blocker in the world, but you may, try to pose yourself as a jump ball guy or a red zone threat. John Stevens was going to be a guy that was going to be that. A power forward type to jump over you, to get mismatches with these linebackers. That was going to be the John Stevens job. John Stevens tore a couple of ACLs in a couple of years. That's a terrible thing to do, but it's all but been damn near confirmed by some of the coaches. Mike McCarthy, Stephen Jones come out and said it, and even Lunda Wells have all kind of alluded to the idea that if John Stevens was healthy, John Stevens would be making the 53. Cool. Well, John Stevens is here, but there's another wide receiver that kind of fits his there's another tight end that kind of fits his type this year that the Cowboys acquired in undrafted free agency is Rivaldo Fairweather from Auburn. He's that same kind of guy, that same kind of go up and get it rebound guy, stretch, jump ball dude, 50-50 ball guy. What makes this interesting is that Rivaldo Fairweather may not be a better tight end than Luke Schoonmaker because Luke Schoonmaker's been he's been through 2 camps. He's been here. He's been playing. He's been in the league. He knows what NFL games are like. But Luke Schoonmaker, at the end of the day, is a redundancy. And Rivaldo Fairweather is not. So if you're looking at your tight end room, Jake Ferguson, Brevyn Spann Ford, Rivaldo Fairweather, and Hunter Lipke, that may be what your 4 tight end set looks like. And those guys are very diverse. If you are Luke Schoonmaker, I hope he can go tackle somebody. That'll be a good way to keep his job. But I don't know. Oxnard will tell all of the story. This is just preliminary talks and projecting on my part. Nothing is official until they go out there and win or lose that job. And I'll be here to break all that down for you on the Bleacher Report Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Central, man. I'll be here. Follow me at Voch Lombardi on all platforms, and tell a friend to download the Bleacher Report app. I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me, man. Y'all hold it down until next time, all right? Salute.